Techivation recently sent me their flagship product, which is their de-esser, in order to review. Now, a de-esser is pretty much a vocal focused compressor, and it's meant to subtly remove some of the edges that you might hear from vocals or other instruments or sounds that you might, have a little bit of harshness to. If you're somebody like me, you can definitely use a de-esser, as my teeth anatomy and the way that I speak in general has a lot of type stuff. So my name is Alckemy. Welcome to the channel if you are brand new. If you like the kind of content that I'm going to be covering today, then please do me a favor, like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments whether or not this is something that will be for you. So I actually really enjoy the interface of this plugin. I am very visually oriented, and they kind of have found a healthy medium between analog and digital. The biggest and most important thing that you're going to find on here is the knob, which is the threshold, and then down here is the release, and pretty much on every de-esser, it's like those are the two most important things that you might want to use. As far as the complete list of features that are on here, we've got the output that's over here, so you can adjust how loud that comes out, and then you can meter the level of the post on the right side. You've got these frequency ranges here, and initially when I was using this, I actually thought that you might be able to do multi-band with this, and even though you can't, which would be cool, there's still another feature with the filter that we'll talk about in just a second that we can get into. The intensity is the overall, I guess, intensity, for lack of a better description, of how much the de-esser is working. The sharpness is kind of how smooth it is or how rigid, and then the attack is how long it takes for the de-esser to activate when you get an incoming signal, and the release is how long it takes for it to go back to 0 or to off. Over here on the right, we've got some look ahead. So if you want it to kind of detect the signal before it comes in, you can set that. Then we've got a mix knob. We have 16 times oversampling. And then over here, we've got the difference that I actually really like and the filter. So the difference will basically take whatever sound that is actually being de-essed and show you what is being done. It's something that I've seen in terms of like Soothe 2 or so, even though spectral processing isn't de-essing. And then on the filter aspect, this is actually something that I really enjoy. This dictates the filter based off of the low, mid, high, and high end. As you can see here, you can set these different frequency ranges. So aside from that, we have an overall low pass filter, which goes all the way down to 3K. And then if you want to add some saturation to your vocals or something, or whatever it is that you're sending through this, then you can do that too. So I actually really like some of these things, and we're going to take a look at what it sounds like here in just a second. But with the saturation aspect, if you're into doing like meme vocals or something where it sounds kind of clean and then like somebody screams and like it has like a ton of saturation for like a TikTok video or for Instagram, this is actually a really cool way to add some, as it's extreme, but it doesn't get louder. It still kind of has like some kind of limiting processing that it has, which I really enjoy. And then the filter aspect, if you set this to like low high or something, then it will actually sound like it's coming through like a phone, or there's different settings that you can have based off of these four, and I actually just like the way that it sounds. There is a clean sample that I have right here, and if we were to just take a listen to this cringe sample, it would be like this.
So, you like to play Castlevania?
Which already has the de-esser happening, but if we take a look at the filter, it's going to sound like it's coming through like a telephone or something.
So, you like to play Castlevania?
Which I actually really like. That's really cool for dialogue or so that we can use to our advantage. The last stuff that I haven't talked about yet are the stereo link, and we have a choice between mid-side and left and right. So aside from that, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the examples, and then you can kind of decide whether or not this is something that will be useful to you. The first one that I have obviously was the sample that I just played. Let's go ahead and turn that off and see what that sounds like. I'm also going to turn the filter off.
So, you like to play Castlevania?
And if you listen to it by itself, it's kind of harsh in that way. And after we turn on the de-esser Pro, you can kind of hear the S's that are in there being a little bit softened.
So, you like to play Castlevania?
Versus,
so,
yeah, I can definitely tell that that's a lot sharper when you A/B that. The other thing too is, again, if you want to like totally saturate the heck out of this.
So, you like to play Castlevania?
Which a lot of times is really cool. There's a lot of really interesting artists out there that are doing like skits at the end of their tunes, and this is like kind of one cool thing that I can see myself using this for. So I went and did some cringe rapping, and we're going to take a look at that here in just a second, but feel free to roast me. It's just a quick thing. This is going to be a little bit more applicable to maybe some people that are doing vocal rapping or anything like that. I don't sing, so this is the next best thing.
Did this set it for the de-esser. Dropped a couple bars for your listening pleasure. Here's some sibilant extremes for the plug in the measure. Spit some bars with the nonchalant leisure.
And I kind of did a quick A/B, but let's go ahead and take a look at the difference with the audition tab.
Did this set de-esser. Dropped a couple bars for your listening pleasure.
So you can hear through a lot of this that the sibilance that I have is really harsh, and this is doing a really good job of kind of just controlling that a bit. And I will say that like if you have something that's just like destructively sibilant, it's not going to save the mix. I don't really know of a de-esser that will. If you guys do, but at the same time, being mindful of the person that's both recording and then also using something in conjunction with this can give you a really pristine, you know, kind of sound that's very natural in that way. The next thing that we actually have is not a vocal, it's a snare. And if you guys know me, you know that I like to make my drums extremely loud, and we can take a listen to what this sounds like without the processing. And then with everything else applied, it sounds like this. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the de-esser off. Welcome to the Alckemy channel. In this particular case, there is some harshness that's coming on off the top end. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this back on, and then we're gonna take a listen to see if you can tell the difference between the two. Versus this obviously softens it up by quite a bit. We can audition and listen to what that's doing. So one cool thing that I really like about this too is that I can actually use that layer of the difference in something else, or maybe like as in a slapback layer, or pulling something else like an alternative type of percussive sample or so from that. And I'm really keen to see what else like I can get out of that in that way. But I really like the fact that this actually has a really cool and interesting sound. And then you can also do this with the filtering as well. So if you're trying to pull like some ghost notes or something, this is a great way to actually do that, I feel. But yeah, that's what that one sounds like. And then we're gonna go ahead and jump into the next sound now, which is a generator that I have. Now for this, a generator is a randomly generated sound, so it's never gonna play the same thing twice, but it sounds like this. Happy Halloween. Let's go ahead and take a look at what this is doing. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to tell, so I'm actually just going to go and jump straight to the difference. But there's a lot of delays that it's happening within the sound that it has a lot of crazy high end, and I'm going to hope that this is going to help control that just a bit. So let's take a listen to the difference with that turned on. Yeah. So you can already hear that between that there's a lot of that harshness that's happening. So yeah, so this is a great way if you've got some crazy sounds that are a little bit difficult to control. Typically you would compress it anyways, but maybe if you just want to focus on the top end or anything that sounds like an S on that, then you can use the de-esser to kind of help control that. So the last example that I have, I'm not great at guitar, but I went and recorded a very simple guitar thing and then duplicated it 3 times. And for this in particular, we're just going to take a quick listen to what it sounds like with it, or sorry, without it, and then we'll take a listen to what it sounds with it. One thing to keep in mind is that for one, I'm not a professional guitar player. 2, I recorded it here in my studio. There's a lot of background noise that's happening here, and there's not really anything that I can do. I would also argue that whenever you record guitar, you should use a condenser mic, but I digress. Back onto the specific topic, let's go ahead and turn this back on and see if this will help kind of chill this out just a little bit. This is actually pretty smooth, but for the most part, there's a couple of plucks that I have with my fingers, and when I turn this on, you'll be able to tell how this works in a subtle way. So in that particular sense, this is something that while I don't think that I would immediately reach for in every single track that I have, for doing YouTube videos like Final Cut, editing, and all that stuff, I can definitely see this being incredibly useful for me in particular. I have used the Logic one that comes with Final Cut, but I don't really like it that much, and so I'm definitely going to give this a try. This video will actually be post-processed with the de-esser, so let me know what you guys think about that and how that sounds. But that's pretty much it. Thank you guys. I hope that you enjoyed the review. Go demo it, go try it out, go download the free version that doesn't expire, and let me know what you guys think about this plugin.